Annual Yava Golf Tournament Toy Drive. Hear how the proceeds are helping underprivileged children of Yuma. And coming up, Yuma Regional Medical Center will be issuing visitor restrictions beginning on the 10th. We'll tell you why. Plus, one family's Christmas will be a whole lot brighter this year thanks to local businesses.
Live from KYMA Studios, this is News 11's Early Edition, your #1 source for news in the Desert Southwest.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Heather Yako has the night off. A 6-year-old boy in Utah is safe this morning after he went missing for hours and turned up inside an open manhole. Police say the boy asked some neighbors to play, and when they couldn't, he ended up stuck at the bottom of a manhole about 10 feet down. Since his mom thought he was at a friend's house, she didn't start looking for him until an hour later, then called police. A canine officer finally located the 6-year-old in the manhole about 4 hours after he was last seen. The boy was taken to a hospital to be treated for mild hypothermia and a broken arm. All in all, a happy ending for everyone.
Officer and his bloodhound from West Valley immediately jumped on that track and started following from where the bike was at. That dog led him right through this retention pond and right to the manhole where this child was sitting down inside that manhole, probably about 9 to 10 feet down.
And it was the first annual Yava Golf Tournament Toy Drive today at Mesa del Sol Golf Course. It's their second fundraising event, but their first golf tournament. Yava stands for Yuma Area Veterans Association. They encouraged all participants in the tournament to bring wrapped toys for children of the community. All proceeds will go to help underprivileged children this Christmas. They're going to use the money to take angels off the angel trees all over Yuma County. The angels on the trees have children's names on them with a wish, the child's name, age, and what they like for Christmas. All money is going to stay in Yuma, and all of it is going to help buy presents for the children of Yuma.
Golf tournament and toy drive to help the local underprivileged children of Yuma, have a very merry and happy Christmas on Christmas morning. We basically are going to go around to the local charitable organizations and take care of as many of the angel tree wishes that we can pull off the trees, and also Catholic Community Services and Ambulance Place and other local charities.
Fun for everyone, but the most important...
Well, sorry about that. And the winner of the golf tournament was Mr. Hank Browning. Congratulations to you and your team. Well, tonight, a family's Christmas, actually Friday night, a family's Christmas was a little brighter. Together with Salvation Army and Bobby's Territorial Harley Davidson, they came together to adopt a family this Christmas. The Harleys rolled up together, and members of the Yuma, Arizona Harley Davidson Owners Group, also known as HOG, set up a tree and brought presents for the family. The house was a little warmer when they were done. The lights, tree, lots of presents, food, and plenty of hugs and smiles to go around. Every year, they like to help out in the community when they can.
Well, we support Salvation Army through our toy run, but this year we wanted to bring some smiles to a family, so we decided to sponsor a family this year. The motorcycle community really comes together for this time of year.
This woman said she is thankful to Salvation Army, Bobby's Territorial Harley Davidson, and God, because she didn't think her grandchildren would have a good Christmas this year. And now, thanks to them, it will be a beautiful Christmas.
Well, next weekend, the Yuma HOG chapter will be putting on the 26th annual Toy Run, which is another opportunity to bring smiles to the less fortunate. And Yuma Regional Medical Center is changing visitor guidelines during flu season. News 11 met with health professionals yesterday to hear why they've chosen to implement the visitor restrictions.
Yuma Regional Medical Center will start temporary visitor restrictions December 10th. That's sooner than normal.
We do it based upon the volumes of the kind of confirmed flu that we receive.
People age 17 and under won't be allowed into the hospital as visitors during this time to protect the patients.
Well, minors are a higher risk population. They have a higher risk of being sick.
YRMC has seen an increase in flu-like symptoms this season, and they urge you to get your flu shot. It's never too late. If you experience flu-like symptoms, YRMC recommends
you stay home. Drink plenty of fluids, take care of yourself. You really should not be going out into the public or actually visiting anyone.
Specialists say you can spread the virus about a day before you feel ill and up to 5 to 6 days after. Healthy people recover from the flu without problems, but certain people are at higher risk. So the medical staff plans to take that extra precaution.
When we see those decrease, then we will remove the restrictions. And yet we know this is going to be hard, and we appreciate the community understanding about, working with us on these circumstances. But
if you are experiencing flu-like symptoms, YRMC urges you to visit Prime Care Urgent Care instead of the emergency room. Well, a Matthews mother of 5 is marking an incredible anniversary this week after losing all 4 limbs during a life-threatening battle with the flu. Doctors told her husband she wouldn't survive last Thanksgiving, and this year she is training for a run. Michelle Bolden has this incredible story.
Things are always kind of crazy in the Seaford house. There are 5 kids after all.
That one's Jeannie, and then the little mommy here is Caroline. And then that's Maisie, my little hippie with no shoes. And that one's Lauren with the purple go-go boots.
Jeannie is the youngest. She just turned 2. Ben, the oldest, is 11.
It was kind of scary.
It's the best way to describe it.
That we can reclaim Thanksgiving as a happy time.
Well, that is quite the remarkable story. Kristen says she has a rule when it comes to conquering challenges with her new hands and legs. She tries something 5 times, and usually by the 5th time, she's making progress. She's running her 5K this weekend with her daughter. All right, so it has been pretty mild lately, but let's see if these temperatures are cooling down. Let's take a look outside at beautiful sky cam view of Yuma right now. Thank you, Yuma Rehabilitation Hospital, for that view. And let's take a look at your current temperatures across the local radar and satellite. Looks like some wind is blowing in right now. And right now in Yuma, it is currently 77 degrees, Blythe 75, El Centro 76. And tonight you should be experiencing mild temperatures. Tomorrow a little warmer, and down the road possible showers, so be prepared for that. And there was our beautiful live shot again. Well, coming up after the break, with recent complaints and protests against the police, many people are looking at body cams to solve the problem. We'll take a closer look at this new idea. Plus, the wife of Eric Garner spoke out about the recent protests. Find out what she is saying. But first, here's a look at what's coming up on Nightly News.
Tonight we'll go inside the daring but sadly failed mission to rescue an American journalist held hostage by Al-Qaeda. He was killed by his captors. We'll tap a bit into the national conversation over the police-related deaths in Ferguson and New York and what some are saying is an overlooked lesson of all this. And it was a book, now a movie, and it's sending a lot of women to find themselves in the wild. We'll go along for the hike tonight.
Live from KYMA Studios, this is News 11's Early Edition, your #1 source for news in the Desert Southwest.
Welcome back. Well, the widow and mother of New York chokehold victim Eric Garner spoke to supporters this morning at a National Action Network gathering. Garner's mother and widow thanked the marchers in New York and nationwide for their support. They encouraged demonstrators to keep up the protests and urged them to continue doing it peacefully. Garner's relatives said the outpouring of love and support was gratifying and overwhelming.
And it is just so awesome to see how the crowds are out there. People who I never would have met or never would have known or probably still will never meet. They are out there. They are standing for my son.
And I'm looking out the window. Mind you, I'm on the 19th floor, and I see all these people, and they're yelling out, Eric Garner, you know.
Secretary of State Hillary Rodham Clinton is speaking out about the recent tensions between race and policing in the U.S. While speaking at the Massachusetts Conference for Women in Boston Thursday, Clinton said that she was pleased to hear that the Department of Justice would be investigating the cases of both Eric Garner and Michael Brown. Clinton also spoke about what she believes needs to be done to keep such incidents of police violence from happening again.
Let's invest in what works. Let's make sure that federal funds to state and local law enforcement are used to bolster best practices rather than buy weapons of war that have no place on our streets or contribute to unnecessary force or arrests.
More than 30 people were arrested in North Carolina after protesters stopped traffic and didn't follow orders during protests over police killings of unarmed black men. More than 100 protesters marched to the Durham freeway, shutting down traffic for about a half an hour Friday night. No one was injured, but the windows of a police cruiser were shattered. Arrests took place outside the Durham Performing Arts Center, and protesters are upset about grand juries not indicting police officers in deaths in Ferguson, Missouri, and New York. And with high-profile complaints against police now dominating the headlines, there's a new call to put body cameras on thousands more officers nationwide. Garrett Hawk found out why this could now give a big boost to one Kansas company.
Inside this nondescript Johnson County office building, more than 100 employees design, build, and sell the small cameras now considered to be the next big thing in law enforcement.
Over the last year, the interest in body cameras really skyrocketed.
Keith Bedeau says the company, which started out making dashboard cameras for police, has seen inquiries about its body cameras rise from 300 to 1,300 departments nationwide. He wore a camera during our interview to show us how the picture looked.
We really believe that body cameras are going to be on just about every officer, in the next few years.
The company also sells software to help departments manage all that video the camera's unblinking eye records, something they believe can make dedicated body cameras better than a GoPro or an iPhone-wielding witness.
Citizens who take videos of a police altercation, they never catch the beginning. It's always halfway through at the very end.
But when a grand jury chose not to indict a New York City police officer in the death of Eric Garner this week, despite the entire incident being captured by a bystander, it left some people, including Garner's mother, wondering if cameras alone can really change policing for the better.
They had a video that represents a body camera. It did nothing. Try something else.
Bedeau agreed it could take more than cameras to calm confrontations between law enforcement and civilians. But they're a start.
Whether I'm the officer or the person involved, I'd certainly much rather have the video than not.
And on a lighter note, a 2-year-old boy continues to surprise doctors in Poland. Little Adam wandered out of his grandmother's home over the weekend in sub-freezing temperatures, wearing only his pajamas. Hours later, he was found unconscious with a body temperature of just 54 degrees. He was rushed to the hospital and put in a medical-induced coma. He was brought out of the coma on Wednesday and shocked doctors by being able to understand them, and he was even able to play with a toy. He was taken off a respirator yesterday and asked doctors for a drink. Friday, one of his doctors said that Adam continues to recover. He's eating normally and has normal reactions. A nurse monitoring his heartbeat said his heart is beating at almost normal rate. Doctors have said they have never seen a recovery like this before. Well, Reese Witherspoon takes on quite the adventure in the new upcoming true story Wild, out this week. And are the clear temperatures here to stay? We'll have more after this. Stay with us on News 11, where news comes first. Well, the temperatures are cooling down, but how cool are we talking? Let's take a look outside at the beautiful live shot. Thank you, Yuma Rehabilitation Hospital, for that beautiful view. It looks like the sun is setting out there in Yuma right now. And let's take a look at the temperatures right now in Yuma. It's 77 degrees with a 35% humidity, dew point at 47 degrees, winds coming in from the north at about 10 miles per hour. And let's look at out there in El Centro right now. It's 76 degrees with a 45% humidity. Dew point at 53 degrees with the winds coming in at northwest at 3 miles per hour. And your almanac temperatures today, it's 78 degrees for a high, 63 degrees for a low, normally around 70 degrees and 47 for a low. And record temperatures, 70 degrees for a high dating back to 1966 and 30 degrees for a low dating back to 1892. Wow, that was freezing for this time of year. All right, so let's look at El Centro, the same story, 76 degrees for a high, 58 degrees for a low, normally around 71 degrees for a high, 41 for a low, and records dating back to 1966, 95 degrees for a high and 26 for a low in 1960. And let's look at your temperatures across the U.S. In Seattle, it's 52 degrees and probably rainy up there, as it always is. 50 in Boise, 66 in San Francisco, 66 in Las Vegas, 54 in Albuquerque, and down there in New Orleans, it's 71, 74 in Miami. And then up there in Toronto, wow, 36 degrees, no thank you. All right, so let's bring it back to your regional satellite and radar. It looks like the winds are coming in, so that could mean something for the desert Southwest. We'll have to ask Rob about that one, though. And looks like, okay, so if you're looking to hit the road this week, San Diego is in the low 70s, patchy fog. Saturday night, Las Vegas about low 60s, and Phoenix low 60s. Let's look at your temperatures tonight in Yuma, mostly cloudy, low of 61, northwest 3 to 7 miles per hour. In El Centro, it's mostly cloudy at the low of 57. And tomorrow in Yuma, it's high of 78 with winds coming in from north-northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. All right, so that's going to wrap up the forecast. We'll have more for you tonight on Nightside if you plan on tuning in with us. So thanks for joining us. Welcome back. Well, 2 decades ago, a 22-year-old woman, California woman, hit rock bottom. It was a 1,000-mile journey to get her life back. She had the will and the name to do it. Cheryl Strayed turned her experiences into a book. That book is now a movie, and it's in theaters this week. Here's Raphael Seth with the box office preview.
I walk 1,000 miles.
Happy trails, Cheryl. Reese Witherspoon walks away from her life in Wild. She's a reckless floozy with a heroin habit who loses the only thing that's important to her, her mother, played by Laura Dern. So the inexperienced Reese buys a monster pack and decides to hike the Pacific Coast Trail over 1,000 miles of agony, tears, and forgiveness. Wild is rated R.
This is the find of the century. You're crazy if you think I'm not going in there.
Just because they're archaeologists doesn't mean they're smart. The Pyramid turns the Tomb Raider theme into a mummy bloodbath. American explorers crack open a forbidden pharaoh's crypt and are surprised to find the ancient spirits do not want them there. The Pyramid is rated R.
You want to go out with me?
It's a Leighton Meester doubleheader weekend. First up, the former Gossip Girl falls in love with Mafia made man Ben Barnes in By the Gun.
I hate everyone but you.
She also appears alongside Community cast member Gillian Jacobs in Life Partners. They play best friends of different sexual orientations, but still find that a guy can ruin everything. Both films are on demand and in select theaters. That's the box office preview. Raphael Seth, NBC News.
I will definitely be seeing Wild this week. And another movie out this week is the new thriller Black Sea, starring Jude Law and directed by Oscar-winning director Kevin McDonald. He attempts to look at how some people have been affected by the economic system through the eyes of a submarine crew. The film follows Law's character Robinson, a submarine captain who loses touch with his wife and children after 30 years of sea voyages. After hearing of a German U-boat full of World War II gold sitting on the bed of the Black Sea, he seeks to redeem and prove himself after being offered the chance to collect it with the help of a misfit British and Russian crew. Well, that's all we have for entertainment. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the break.
Lots of rest. I'm sure that's fun enough for me.
Hey, well, yeah, sometimes it's necessary, right? Yeah. All right. Well, moving on tonight, Yuma Regional Medical Center is changing visitor guidelines during this flu season. News
11's Molly Lang met with health professionals today to hear why they've chosen to implement visitor restrictions and best practices for protecting yourself against the flu virus. She's live in the studio with this report. Molly.
Irene, Nico, as a result of flu season and high patient volumes, individuals under 18 won't be allowed into patient care and waiting areas.
Extra precaution.
When we see those decrease, then we will remove the restrictions. And yet we know this is going to be hard, and we appreciate the community understanding about, working with us on these circumstances. But
if you are feeling sick, YRMC urges you to avoid visiting the emergency room and encourages the use of prime care urgent care. Live in the studio, Molly Lang, News 11, back to you.
All right, Molly, thank you so much for bringing us that story. It's always a good reminder to have on those flu shots.
Yeah, very brave too. As you saw the package there, she actually got one for this story. There's a dedicated journalist right there.
She is. Well, coming up next on News 11.
One source for news in the desert Southwest.
Thank you for joining us tonight. It's been a topic of debate for much of the past few months. What really happens in a police interaction?
Well, the question is, Molly, whether or not this will be a readily answered question. We're talking about body cameras the police department got this week. News 11's actually went out to San Luis to get a closer look at it.
That's right. The San Luis Police Department has installed body cams on their police officers.
We had them for a while now, and obviously we got them based on complaints from the public, and obviously to gather evidence.
Officers wear these body cams and turn them on when they come in contact with the public.
Only when we have to get out of our car, make contact with people, traffic stops.
It clearly records any situation between the police and public and is an accurate piece of evidence.
Usually when we're dealing with possibly an actual crime, we're either interviewing suspects or victims. That's how we can basically evidence based on what they're telling us.
They are a piece of supporting evidence to protect not only the police officers, but the public. With the distrust between people and the police force and the media lately, it would be useful for all officers to wear body cams.
Prior to that incident, we've had audio recorders, so it's basically this type of equipment.
The body cam can more accurately capture the interaction between police officers and the public. It goes where the officer goes. Whereas the dash cam only films the perimeter in front of the vehicle.
Well, the officers say they were happy to have the cameras to assist them in their job in the event, well, their actions ever come into question. Well, thousands of demonstrators are marching the streets nationwide for a second straight night protesting a grand jury's decision not to indict a police officer for the death of Eric Garner.
Garner died in July after being put in apparent chokehold while being apprehended on suspicion of selling untaxed cigarettes. Sarah Daloff reports. No word on a timeline for that federal investigation. As for the grand jury, they met for 9 weeks, hearing the testimony of 50 witnesses.
Well, Phoenix police officers shot and killed an unarmed and suspected drug dealer on Tuesday night when officers confronted the state of California.
But a new workforce development director has high hopes this will soon change as he steps into his role and takes on the challenge. News 11's Milrose Bosco has the story.
Imperial County still has one of the highest unemployment rates at 23%. The new workforce development director is hoping to change that.
Well, even though we had a wet start to our Thursday, it appears our overnight rain episode isn't up for a repeat.
But we're keeping that leftover moisture that came in with the rain, so we're in for a moisturous evening, just a little bit. If you go outside, and at least we don't have the heat to go with it, so that's not quite monsoon-like. But as we take a look at your Yuma Rehabilitation Hospital sky cam, a beautiful look at just a little snippet of the Yuma area. Here's what we're looking at as far as your local radar satellite's concerned. If we've had any cloud coverage, it's very minimal at best at this point. So mostly clear night in the making, and it could possibly even turn partly cloudy, but nothing like what we experienced just a night ago. Here's what we're looking at temperature-wise. The range 60 to 63 degrees outside, and for the very near future, we're going to keep it mild and nice, at least through the end of your work week. But do we have any showers in store for the weekend? We'll let you know coming up in my forecast in just a little bit.
Well, people and even some livestock are dealing with a lot of flooding and mudslides in the part of Southern California. These poor cows looked lost as they waded through floodwaters in Riverside County. The animal green pastures is somewhere under all of this water. The area got about 2.5 inches of rain in just a few hours early Thursday. It rained for several days in San Diego, too. A swift water rescue team pulled this 22-year-old to safety after he tried to cross the river. Well, up next on Nightside, Bill Cosby has more accusers coming forward from 30 years ago. We'll tell you what the high-profile attorney that's helping him has advised Cosby to do.
And with flu season upon us, some medical professionals are saying that the flu shot is less effective than it once was. We'll tell you why they're saying this. Stay with us. You're watching News 11.
Your favorite talk shows are on News Talk 560 KBLU.
Source for news in the Desert Southwest.
Welcome back, everybody. Here's the latest news on Bill Cosby. 3 new accusers have come forward on Wednesday with allegations dating back nearly 30 to 40 years.
And the high-profile celebrity attorney who arranged it all says it's time for Cosby to come clean and resolve these cases in court. NBC's Kate Snow reports. After months of emotional debate, the Minnesota State High School League approved a new policy for transgender athletes.
Some call it victory, while others say it's a big defeat. Bu Zhang reports.
You know, a trans woman and a cis woman, there's no difference. You know, people are people, and identity is something that's so strong.
The CDC has issued a warning tonight about the flu virus now spreading throughout the country. It has mutated, meaning that the flu shot or mist that millions of people get to protect themselves won't provide nearly as much protection as usual.
We bring you this medical report from Chief Medical Editor Dr. Nancy Snyderman.
Every year, the flu puts as many as 200,000 people in the hospital. That's why the CDC warned today that a strain of the flu virus mutated this year, making the current vaccine less effective.
Well, we know that the flu virus can mutate. It's very wily.
It's too late to make a new vaccine for this season, so people who think they may be getting the flu should see their doctor right away.
There are medications to treat the flu. So even if you've been vaccinated, if you get the flu, especially if you're at high risk of severe disease, talk to your doctor about getting treated.
Well, researchers in Washington State are working on a breathalyzer that can detect the other chemicals.
Surprisingly, it's technology that is already in place at airports across the nation. Cynthia Johnson explains.
System, so it'll be this size.
Professor Herbert Hill and one graduate student are working to get this device to detect THC in a person's system.
While an early prep season basketball tournament goes underway, we'll bring you the latest results and highlights from one of tonight's games coming up in sports.
And coming up in your weather forecast, we're going to be previewing what you can come to expect here in the Desert Southwest for this upcoming weekend. Is it rain or is it shine? We'll let you know right after this.
First.
Well, Molly, gosh, you know, live TV is such a beautiful thing. Sometimes you want to speak and it comes out at the same time. But, you know, for me to start, I would say that, you know, today's been a beautiful day. I mean, we did get rained on a little bit. I don't know if your car got hit. Mine did. So, hey, yes. Great start.
Yes, I put a little soap on it beforehand, so now I have a clean car. How about that?
There we go. Free car wash. Got to love that, because that does not happen here in the Desert Southwest very often. Let's take a look at what we're seeing outside in regards to your Yuma Rehabilitation Hospital Skycam. And as you can see, yeah, beautiful night indeed. Just a little snippet of what we're seeing outside in regards to just the niceness we're experiencing in the Desert Southwest, albeit it's moisturous. But nonetheless, that storm system that passed us by certainly did just that, as you can see, the following Friday. So nice weather all around, Molly.
That's right, Rob. Why do you call it Super 70s?
Well, because it's super. I mean, this is, you stumped me there. Wow. It is pretty super. I mean, you know, you can't beat the kind of weather we're getting with that. I mean, daytime highs in the 70s is better than daytime highs in the 40s and 50s, so we'll definitely take that. All right, up next in sports, Yuma Catholic football just finished its best season in program history. We'll bring you reaction from head coach Red Stallworth right after this.
Chicanos por la Causa invite you to their education fair.
That's going to be it for this all local round of sports. Molly, we'll send it back your way.
Thanks, Rob. Well, just steps away from the White House, more than 15,000 were on hand as President Obama led the countdown to the lighting of the national tree. We'll have that story coming up next on News 11, where news comes first. Coming up on Nightside, after back-to-back decisions not to indict police officers who caused death, protests continue across the country. And close to home, protests in Phoenix over the death of an unarmed man have yet to subside. We'll have more on what key issues.
Yuma Catholic football coach Rhett Stallworth shares his thoughts on how his program's potential move to Division IV.
Coming up on Nightside, after back-to-back decisions not to indict police officers who caused death, protests continue across the country.
And close to home, protests in Phoenix over the death of an unarmed man have yet to subside. We'll have more on what key issue protesters are keying on.
And with the successful launch of the Orion deep space capsule, emotions were high as we entered the Mars era. What this means for space travel.
Live from KYMA Studios, this is News 11 Nightside, your #1 source for news in the Desert Southwest.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Thursday night, demonstrators took to the streets of Phoenix to protest the fatal shooting of an unarmed African-American man by police. Protesters marched the memory of Romain Brisbane, who was shot twice in the torso by police after they believed he was reaching in his pocket for a weapon. Protesters marched to Phoenix Police headquarters demanding answers, including the name and background of the officer involved, which is yet to be released. While many protesters are pointing to race as a major factor in the shooting, the victim's mother places the blame on how police are taught to deal with suspects.
I'm telling you, this is not about race. This is about a young man gone too soon. This is about the police department who are untrained and who needs proper training.
Tuesday night, Brisbane was pulled over when his SUV matched the description of a suspected drug dealer.
And across the country, thousands took to the streets to protest against what they're calling injustices. The back-to-back grand jury decisions not to charge police officers with crime.
This and the deaths of Eric Garner in Staten Island and Michael Brown in Ferguson. Dan Shinneman has the story.
Black Lives Matter!
For a third night, protesters took to the streets in New York and in dozens of cities across the country.
What do we want? Justice!
From Washington, D.C. to Wall Street.
Liberty and justice for all.
In Westchester County, New York.
Using deadly force has been used too much.
System comes. Dan Shenneman, NBC News.
A hero in the right place at the right time, a Marine Corps recruit rescued a woman from drowning today in San Diego, California, when she became trapped in her vehicle in quickly rising water.
Bridget Nasso reports.
It's rising at the
Murky conditions remain in the skies above as we enter into our first weekend of December.
Kind of unusual, Molly, considering we usually get abundant sunshine and abundant clear nights, but certainly the exception to the rule. But expect some changes to develop here at home as we're looking just a little bit. Molly?
Thanks, Rob. It has been an exciting, important, and even emotional day at Kennedy Space Center, entering the Mars era, according to many at the space agency, with the successful launch of the next generation Orion deep space capsule.
Jay Gray was there for this morning's launch.
5, 4.
Putting a crew in the Orion capsule is the year 2021.
Yuma Regional Medical Center is changing visitor guidelines during flu season.
News 11 met with health professionals today to hear why they've chosen to implement visitor restrictions.
Yuma Regional Medical, but certain people are at higher risk. So the medical staff plans to take that extra precaution.
When we see those decrease, then we will remove the restrictions. And yet we know this is going to be hard, and we appreciate the community understanding about, working with us on these circumstances. But
if you're experiencing flu-like symptoms, YRMC officials urge you to avoid visiting the emergency room. Use urgent care instead.
Good advice indeed.
Thank you, Rob. Well, up next on Nightside, a gift was found on the side of the road. Hear how one family is doing everything they can to find the owner of this special present.
Plus, a family's home is a little warmer tonight after they were surprised with an early Christmas. Stay with us. You're watching News 11.
Your #1 source for news in the Desert Southwest.
Welcome back. Well, Bill Cosby's star on the Hall of Fame was vandalized Thursday night. According to the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, the word rapist was written multiple times on the star. Efforts to clean up the star were underway Friday morning. Cosby has been accused of sexual abuse of assault by more than 20 women. The comedian has denied the allegations through a lawyer. The Hollywood Chamber of Commerce released a statement reading in part, "When people are unhappy with one of our honorees, we would hope that they would project their anger in more positive ways than to vandalize a California state landmark." Cosby's star was awarded to Cosby on November 23rd, 1977. And gay marriage has been legal in Sedgwick County, Kansas for less than a month now. Officials say that 71 applications for same-sex marriage have been filed, and after the 3-day waiting period, a total of 57 have been approved.
Now, a Wichita minister who performs many of these ceremonies says she's received death threats. Stephanie Bergman reports.
A broken window is just...
So gets messages of support across the country.
And it's called The Jungle, a complex of subterranean dwellings in San Jose, California, where many of the city's homeless live. As of Thursday, The Jungle is no more. Crews began removing mattresses, propane tanks, and other things from inside what is likely the nation's largest homeless encampment. A contaminated creek adjacent to The Jungle forced the Water Control Board to clean up or face significant fines.
We're here donating food to everyone.
For the 18 months, the city worked with the homeless inside The Jungle to move them to shelters. They were told earlier this week that they must be out or they will face arrest for trespassing. And tonight, a family's Christmas was a little brighter. Together, the Salvation Army and Bobby's Territorial Harley Davidson came together to adopt a family this Christmas. The Harleys rolled up together and members of the Yuma, Arizona Harley Davidson Owners Group, also known as Hog Club, set up a tree, brought presents for the family, and the house was a little warmer when they were done with it. Lights, tree, lots of presents, foods, and plenty of hugs and smiles to go around. Every year, they like to help out the community where they can. Hog chapter will be putting on the 25th annual Toy Run, which is another opportunity to bring smiles to the less fortunate.
Well, one of Santa's helpers has gotten a Christmas gift to a little girl in North Carolina. An Indiana truck driver spotted a Christmas gift left on the side of the road recently while traveling through Indianapolis along an interstate.
He stopped to retrieve the gift, and he and his wife made sure it was given to its rightful owner. The card on the gift read, "For Lexi from Grandma and Grandpa," and from there they started their search to find the owner. Jenny Rutvich has their Christmas tale.
In Channel 13 Eyewitness News.
The Haskets were able to locate the family, and the gift for Lexi has been mailed to Cary, North Carolina.
You know, God has a purpose for everything, and that's just one example right there for sure.
I agree with you, and it makes me really curious what was in that present for little Lexi. Well, still to come on Nightside, Coach Rhett Stallworth joins News 11's Rob Fram to talk about his expectations for the Shamrocks football program for 2015. Part 2 of our Coach's Corner special is coming up.
You know what else is special? Our desert Southwest weather, that is. All right, let's talk about that right after the break in terms of what we can expect for the first weekend of December, right after this.
All right, so it's been a little wet and cold out. Does that mean rain is coming our way?
You know what? We kind of already had it, so we're on the back end of that. But, you know, around these parts, rain comes and goes sparingly. We don't get a lot of it, but, yeah, eventually we're due to get another chance. But it's not going to happen this weekend. Let's take a look at what we're seeing outside. Do our Facebook page, and we'll get it on the air as soon as possible.
Yeah, or you can send it to M. Lang at KYMA. I love seeing your pictures.
Yeah, that'd be cool too.
And I will always pass them along, even if I can't use them.
All right.
So tell me what's coming up next in sports,
Oh,
Rob.
we got an exciting second part of the first part of the interview from earlier tonight. Up next, Yuma Catholic football coach Rhett Stallworth shares his thoughts on his program's potential move to Division IV. Part 2 of our Coach's Corner special is next.